like to welcome to the podcast today, April Feldman. Did I say that right?
Yeah.
Okay, good. April started her adventure in 2008 and clearly recalls her first very humbling moment on the mat. From that moment, she was hooked as a student and then progressed into teaching yoga. She realized that at any age, size, or skill level, that yoga heals the mind, body, and soul. She completed Yoga Alliance training in 2019, and she currently is the studio owner of Sumits Yoga Colorado, the first two studios in Colorado and 28th nationwide. I didn't realize it was 28.
Yeah, actually, in the world, because there's a couple international.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
And then she also owns an executive assistant company that specializes in financial product companies and has 80 employees around the world. You are busy.
I'm busy.
Thank you so much for coming. Thank you so much for coming.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
So my first question is always the same. Okay. What was your first job?
Okay, my first job was... This is kind of funny. I actually was 15, and I lied and said I was 16. And I went to Rangers Stadium, and that's in Texas, Arlington, Texas, baseball, and I sold programs out of the baseball. Yeah, but I lied because, my dad's like, you need to get a job. And I'm like, well, I don't think I can. I think, yeah. And I remember filling out that, application thing, and it said, are you 16? And I just marked yes. Because I thought if I marked no, I wouldn't get the job.
And nobody checked.
Yeah. But back then, that wasn't, okay, I lied. Yes, I lied to get the job. But that was my first job.
That's awesome. Yeah. I love it. So, actually, I'm going to flip some of my questions because we were talking about this earlier, and then we'll go back to the studio questions. But so you created an executive assistant company from scratch.
Yeah.
I don't know how many years ago. I couldn't find any data
on
that.
Gosh.
But tell us about that business and that journey to create that business.
Well, after my background is I worked for Bank of America corporately. I was working kind of part-time. I had 2 children, and it was nice. My mother-in-law and my mom used to watch my 2 boys when I was at work, and I worked part-time at their corporate offices. And I ended up getting divorced, and it kind of hit me hard that I'm going to have to go back full-time. I'm going to need to make more money. I'm going to need to find somebody more childcare, and it was stressful. I was pretty stressed. And so I started figuring out a way how I could work at home and still make some money and be with my kids. And one of the gentlemen that I was working for is kind of he's an executive at Bank of America. He's like, well, I have a guy who really needs some help, and he needs an executive assistant. Maybe you could help him. And he allowed me to kind of work from home, and it kind of started to snowball. Then that person liked what I did, so he hired me to do some other part-time stuff, and I ended up having to eventually quit Bank of America. I got busy, and then I had to hire people to help me, to help my clients. And it all kind of centers over financial product wholesalers. That's kind of my specialty for the executive assistant company. And it just kept growing. And they're all stay-home moms, which is pretty cool. They were all kind of in my position. And it just allows them to be able to make some money at home. They all were in some type of professional career prior. And, anybody who's out there that knows that has children knows that, when those kids come along, they become a huge priority. And I think it's super nice to be able to still be a businesswoman and to take care of your family.
We could do both.
You can do both.
I think it's hard to be home with kids. That's not something I could do.
Yeah, some people love to get out.
I need to use my brain.
And the nice thing is that this just allowed them, even when the kids were at school or whatever, just to have this career that they could do a home-based business.
And they get to pick their hours.
They get to pick their hours. As long as their work got done, they get paid. And it was just a win-win for everybody.
Awesome. So how long have you been running that business?
Gosh, almost 20 years. Yeah, it used to take a lot more hours in the day, and now after all these years, it doesn't take as many hours during the day. That's why it's not as time consuming. I used to work, 60 hours a week
right,
or more.
Us entrepreneurs.
Yeah,
We do
like
the
constantly working, like waking up at 3 going, and it's not as intense these days because, I have things in place and it's running pretty smoothly. And, I've hired an assistant for my assistant company.
Yeah, that's right.
Right? So,
you
gotta, just make it as convenient for yourself. Things change, your family changes. My boys are now grown up and they're men. They're not children anymore. And, it's just me, my dog, and my husband, and my cat, Coco. So, life changes.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So, okay, yoga studio stuff. So, April and I met because I walked into their yoga studio.
Yes, she did.
When they opened.
One of our first students. She's awesome.
I was an OG. I was like, it's right down the street. I have to go check it out. So, you found yoga in 2008. So, tell us about that experience and how it changed the trajectory of your life.
Well, I come from like a gym background. Like I loved working out. And I was, believe it or not, actually on the cover of a magazine. And
that doesn't surprise me.
Yeah, so it was like a health magazine. I was the jump rope girl. So I used to jump rope quite a bit and did some competitions and things like that. Got on the cover of a magazine. So I love the gym. I love exercising. It's just something I've always done. And I think it just calms me down. It makes me happy. Some people love coffee. I like exercising, but I do like that one cup of coffee in the morning. I like both.
I like to do both.
But I was in this gym thing, and one of my girlfriends is like, you got to come to this yoga class with me. This is the craziest thing, but you got to come. And so I remember literally rolling out my mat. It was hot. I met Sumit for the very first time, and the room was packed, just absolutely packed. And I thought to myself, these people are crazy. This is hot. But this competitive thing in me, because coming from this gym background, every time I'd stand up, I'd be, I got to go back down. I was like, this is hot. And I just didn't want to not be good at it. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
like
totally.
This competitive, like totally non-yoga thing, right? I just didn't, I wanted to be good at it. So I came back like the next day and the next day, and I'm like, I'm going to get this. And then the funniest thing is when I really got it was that then I realized I could put my head on the mat and I didn't have to do anything. So I got the yoga, and it just made me a better person. Like I always say, like when you leave your yoga class, there's something about hot yoga because it shuts off your mind. And it's kind of like when you wake up from like a great night's sleep, your mind's calm. You're not already going over your list of things to do. And that's what a good hot yoga class does for you. And I think it just makes you a better person. I always joke that on my way to yoga, I'm like, get out of the way, and then from yoga, like when I'm done, I'm like, go ahead, it's fine. I'm going like 35 under the speed limit. I'm just a better person.
Yeah.
And hot yoga has helped me through like the best times in my life and some of the worst, because we all live this life of this roller coaster and nobody gets out alive, right?
Right.
This life. And so you need something that's going to help you through that. And I really think this practice does.
I was actually laughing. The last time I was there, I did fall asleep, and I do that like almost every class.
Yeah, that's a good thing.
I'm just gonna skip those, and I'm gonna lay down. And a lot of the time, I do fall asleep, and it is like coming up from like a nap or like coming up from like
you feel refreshed. You feel like, your mind's clear.
And then I always walk out like, why am I not here every day?
Right?
And then it's like 3 months, and then April's like, where have you been?
I know. Where are you?
Where are you?
I have not seen you.
So what prompted you to start a branch of Sumits Yoga?
Well, I started helping Sumit. Sumit is a great idea guy, and he has ADD. I just talked to him. He's like, I talk to him all the time, so he knows that I tell the truth. And he's not good at focusing.
Right.
Like he's got
ideas, not implementation.
Exactly. I'm implementation.
Yeah.
So I started helping him from the beginning with like operations. That's where, there's not a lot of like, I'm kind of a yogi with a business background and finance background and organization. So me and him kind of made a great team. So we just started working together, and I started helping him. And when the opportunity, I mean, Arizona was kind of saturated with Sumits.
How many studios are in Arizona?
Gosh. Just in the Phoenix area, there's probably at least 5, 6.
And he started in Arizona.
Yeah, he started in Arizona. And so I just wanted to, we have family here. My husband's daughter's here, and we have 2 little grandbabies. And we just thought this would be a great place, even though it was, probably the most competitive yoga market. I mean, Core Power's housed here. And, but it was, the decision really was based on family. You want to be where your family is. Kim originally had some family here, and so that was our decision, was Colorado.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So you guys are just like, we're just going to do it.
We're going to do it.
Just going to do Colorado.
Do it.
How did you pick the Littleton area? Was there any, market research or anything around that?
Well, again, it was family because
You were just close.
Lorna and John lived in Littleton. I think they actually lived in Highlands Ranch at the beginning. They moved to Littleton. But we had like a radius of where we wanted to be. And so we just got a commercial real estate guy and started looking, and that was the spot we picked. And it's funny because Sumit always has this story. His first very successful studio was right next to a Safeway. So when I called Sumit and told him that we were looking at this Safeway, and I do the worst accent. Oh, hey bro, do it. You got to do it, Safeway.
Do it Safeway.
Yes. So anyways, that was just funny. But yeah, he was like, do it. Because Safeway was like one of his things. I was right by a Safeway location.
It's the safer way with the liquor too. So even
right.
better.
Because people are showing up.
Because people are going.
That's
into
right.
That
That's right.
It's a busy Safeway.
That's right.
So smaller or startup studios, yoga studios especially, are notorious for not staying in business very long. What makes Sumits different?
Well, believe it or not, about 9 out of 10 yoga studios will go out of business their first year.
That doesn't surprise me at all.
So, being hot is a little bit different. Hot yoga studios tend to do a little bit better, and it is because that feeling that we just talked about. When you release that tension in your head and you have to focus just on your breath, and it's kind of like a fight or flight type thing, and you can't think about all the issues that are going on, it really is such a detoxing thing for your mind, body, and soul.
It's a meditation.
It really is. It's a great meditation. And, we do the same sequence every time, and I know some people.
I originally thought I would hate that.
Right.
Because I'm a Core Power OG.
Right.
And everything
some people
was
love the
different,
change and all that kind of stuff.
I thought it was yoga was supposed to be a brain thing too.
Right.
And then I just was like, well, I'm just gonna check Sumits out. I did the free 2
weeks for $20
whatever it was.
Right.
And I think I came 4 or 5 times in that 2 weeks, and I was like, oh crap. Now I was hooked because I knew the sequence. I didn't have to think about it.
Right.
It really did actually feel more like a meditation than yoga had before for me.
And that's exactly the point. And believe it or not, most people they go to Starbucks and you order your drink, right? Your drink. Mine's chai tea latte, coconut milk, extra hot. But everybody has their thing, right? And so people like routine, and especially people who are type A people, which I am. I'm a Virgo and type A.
I'm an Aries.
And, right? So, if you're an organizer and you like things, you like consistent things, this will actually, it heals you because we have, crazy tendencies sometimes when we're that OCD about things. But it really helps you to just have that same thing because the practice is so challenging. I've been doing it for 20 years. There's no way you can perfect it. I mean, I'm okay at it, but I'll never perfect it. And to me, I like that. There's always a bit of challenge. And some days are different than others. Some days I go in there and I think, oh, I got this. And I'm like, oh, child's pose. Not doing much today because, whatever it is, whatever's going on in my life or what I ate, what I drank, everything affects you. Emotions can really affect your practice. And you have to be okay with that. And I think that's the best part of yoga is just putting your head down the mat. Doesn't matter what you're doing.
I love it. There's like a certain sequence where I'm just like, how do I feel about this one today?
Right.
Like it's my sequence where I decide if I'm doing it or if I'm gonna fall asleep.
Right.
Usually I'm taking a nap.
Yeah, it's like, what do I need today?
Yeah.
And that's a good feeling. You know, you
have
know
permission.
you have permission to just lay down. And sometimes, you know, people really need that. They push, push, push. And in this particular practice, you do put your head down.
And you have permission
And you're
to not
and
get
you're
back up if
and
you
that's
want
like
to.
yeah, we're like complimenting you. Good job. Right?
Yeah.
It's good that you did that.
Yeah, you're
Relax.
always like coming over and like I always get like a back rub
Yeah,
when I'm
like
laying on the floor.
the child's
like,
pose,
yeah, you
action,
get to do your stuff,
yes,
you know?
adjustment,
like,
yeah.
It always just feels, and I always tell my husband, like, I'm a Christian and like God is at yoga. Like he's at church sometimes, but like he's at yoga for me because that's when my brain's done. Like that's when my brain's shut off actually. So that's why.
Well, what's better than I do that Sunday afternoon class at noon.
That's my favorite one.
Yeah,
it's my
and
favorites.
it's a donation class, so we pick like what's going on in our community, whether it's moms and butts or like Jen, my one of my teachers, she has multiple sclerosis, so we're doing like an MS for the whole month of May. Like be part of your community and offer some good yoga for $5, and I donate my time, my studio, and we do something good for the community. But to me, that is like church, right? You're preaching love, acceptance, support. It's the same feeling. I love it too.
I love it.
Yeah.
So you just opened a second studio a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
How did you choose that location? It's an interesting location.
It is an interesting location. Sometimes location, we try to space out the studios like there's an approximate number. You got to be 9 miles apart. You got to, there's all these, formulas,
close,
right?
though.
They're 9.5
Exactly
miles
that.
apart.
I was gonna say, isn't
Yeah.
like exactly
So they're
9
pretty close, but sometimes it's just the rent, the we have people who actually live above and all around. It's a pretty busy location in that sense. Sometimes it's just the right, landlord
You guys
too.
have two studios in that one, right? Two teaching spaces.
No, actually not. Well,
did
we
I
have,
notice too?
you know why? Because there's a huge outdoor patio, so we
that's
do
right.
kids yoga and things like that outside, yeah. And we're hoping to open 2 more within the next year and a half. There's 2 more people who are interested, so.
So where are those going to be?
We are thinking Golden and the Highlands.
Golden's going to be hard.
Yeah.
I grew up in Golden, so.
Oh, you did?
Yeah. There's like no real estate there right now, so.
Yeah. Yeah.
That'll be good though.
I think it's called like Applewood. So Applewood?
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah.
We have somebody who's very interested in it, so we'll see.
I grew up out there, so.
Yeah.
What have been the biggest obstacles for you in owning and running the studios? And creating them. Geez, you were telling me it costs a lot to
Yeah,
do
it's
a
very
yoga studio.
expensive to open a yoga studio, and I would have to say the physical part of yoga, especially hot yoga and our sequence. When I first started, I was teaching 3 classes a day, and I'm getting a little older now, like 29 now. But I can't do 3 classes a day anymore. My body is not. I have to self-preserve, right? I like to do yoga every day, whether I teach or take. That's kind of where I'm at. But in the beginning, the physical challenge was just the worst part because,
on top of trying to get a business running and all
correct,
that.
just the physical. But, I'm a pretty business-minded person. But it's really simple for me. It's like love them from the minute they come in the door and give them all of you and just be authentic and true and happy, and it's amazing what you get back. There was a studio, I won't name the studio, but it closed about the week before we opened, and it was a hot studio. And we had these people who came in, and they were so unga bosom, like they'd walk in, and I was like, hi! And they're like,
You're April.
they didn't even know what to do. They're like, hi. And I was like running over, hugging them. And they're like, personal space, they're like, oh. And, because they hadn't had that kind of love or encouragement in their
excitement.
studio. Yeah. And, it was a very strict studio where you had to place your water a certain thing and you couldn't do this, you couldn't do that. And she'd lock the door if you're a minute late, even if she saw you. She was just like,
She'd wave at you.
Me, I'm like running out, like, hold on, and I'm opening the door. It's just a different environment. But I really think yoga is about love, and it doesn't start in the room. It starts when they walk in the door, and it starts when you see them at the grocery store. And I just embrace everybody who walks in, and I want to be part of their lives, and I want to be an inspiration, and I want to learn from them, because that's how you make a relationship.
Right, that's how we do things.
Right? And so I think they were all taken back, and I ended up getting quite a few clients, and it's amazing. They used to come in and now they're like, so that's good. They're all happy.
Well, and it's different. I mean, you've created a culture, and you've taught all your teachers too. So you've taught everyone who teaches in your studio.
It's all about love and smiles and happy. I mean,
right. If that doesn't, if they don't fit with your
they're not.
It's not
I had
work.
to fire one teacher. I really did, and it was because she just couldn't adapt to our culture, and the culture is so simple. Like, just be a kind human being. Be happy, smile, compliment. Be better. Be the light.
Be kind.
Be kind. Be the sunshine. Be it.
Yeah,
it's not that hard.
And I think that was the draw for me too. Like, when I met you and Kim, I was just like, I love these people.
Yeah,
right.
We're insane.
You are insane, and I loved it.
You never know what you're gonna get.
And
yeah.
April's music for your music for your classes is my favorite. So I'm always just like, when's April on that? Because it's like salt and pepper.
Yeah,
and
it's
like,
anything and everything.
Yeah, it's completely eclectic, and I love it because
it's
just totally. They were my jams, and I'm just like dancing instead of doing yoga.
That's right. Like, and I try to throw some new stuff in now too, because for the younger people.
For the younger people.
But yeah, I just think it's good. Music for me has always been something that it's part of our life, right? It definitely motivates us. It can make us cry.
Yeah.
And it's important.
And it's the whole feel of
It's the whole feel of
your
it.
class a lot of the time.
Yeah.
So you kind of flipped my obstacles question into the successes question, but what have been the biggest successes for Sumits Yoga Colorado, do you think? I mean, the second studio.
Yeah,
Awesome.
The whole community, the whole Sumits Yoga community, and it's not just Sumits Yoga. I've met so many people in this Denver community. It's so nice to just be involved in such great yogis, right? You're part of a community. I love the teachers that, yoga is yoga, right? Doesn't matter if you do hot, if you do, like a vinyasa flow, you do this, you do that. You meet good people. Most yoga people are really good people. And for me, that is a huge success. I've met so many great people. We do teacher training, so now I pull all the good people. I'll pull good teachers from all different studios, and just so our teachers can learn from the best. And, it's just supporting each other.
That's awesome. You guys have a good community of yoga people.
Yeah, we do. We have a great community here.
Because Colorado is super saturated with yoga, but it sounds like it's been a really good community for you to come into.
It's a great community. They probably hadn't seen anything like me, but they opened their arms.
Nobody has my life.
Yeah. Because, you're
mean, just not your typical...
No.
You're the business yogi.
And I, if I see it, I say it, and I can be kind of funny sometimes.
We love it. You're my favorite instructor.
Thank you.
So
Thank you.
Yeah, no. I just need you on the schedule a little more.
What?
Okay, so before I ask my last question, what is the easiest way for people to find you?
I would just say Sumits Yoga Colorado.
Okay, what about the executive assistant?
Executive assistant, they can find me. It's weschedule.com.
Weschedule.com. Okay, I'll have to go find that. I was like Googling you, and you were like not on LinkedIn. And
Did you find the jump rope thing?
No.
Oh, I'm all over that.
I need to go deeper. I'll do some more of that.
Find that cover of magazine.
Love it. We'll post that.
Yeah. Oh Lord.
So final question.
I have about 20 copies at home if you want.
I do absolutely want a copy.
Of course I do.
So final question.
My 5 minutes of fame, right?
Every time a new yoga student walks into your class, what is the one thing you hope they gain or walk away with?
Wow. A lot of love and encouragement, because my son just graduated from Berklee School of Music, and very recently I went, I'd go to Boston to visit him, and I took one of those spin classes, and I hadn't spun in I don't even know how long, and so I was a newbie. Right? And it is so hard to go in and do something new, especially because, like, if you're a good runner, or you're a good biker, or you're great at your yoga class or whatever, and you go into something new that's challenging, and everybody else has, got the rhythm, and I'm like, oh my God. But I had a really great teacher, and she did exactly what I like to do. She just embraced and encouraged me and gave me love. And I didn't do that well, maybe physically, but boy, did I feel empowered when I walked out. I'm like, oh yeah.
I love that.
And so, that's what, in this world, I think you have a responsibility, you can either beat down people
or you can lift them up, right?
That's right. And so I'd rather be the light.
That's why we love you. Thank you so much for
You're
coming.
welcome. You're welcome. I love you.
Hey y'all, thanks for listening. If you found this podcast to be inspiring, helpful, and entertaining, please like and subscribe. This helps us grow the community and reach more people. If you are interested in learning more about this episode's guest or accessing any of the books or other resources mentioned in this episode, be sure to check out the description box below. Until next time, be abundant.